Good Tuesday morning to you all. Hopefully you guys are doing great. We got another Watchmen update. A lot of breaking news happening over the last 24 hours you need to be aware of. We get the full nationalization of the Washington, D.C. police force. National Guard are being deployed as we speak. And we got a 15% reverse tariff on computer chips going to China. Our companies that are sending computer chips to China are going to pay 15% to the U.S. government. So how about that? Reverse tariffs seem to be nice. I like that. India is in a major tiff with the U.S. and is canceling flights to the United States now. This is going a little overboard now. And the Philippine Coast Guard wins a naval victory against China, which is crazy when you think of it, since nobody was shooting at each other. But managed to almost sink a Chinese ship. We got reports coming from you guys about worms disappearing, bats, and birds all across the U.S. Where have they gone? We got that and a whole lot more. Let's get into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade, and these are your updates that you guys are sending in from all over. If you have something to share, make sure you use the word update somewhere in your comment. That gets it to the right place. The quality of the intel on this channel depends on those citizen journalists like yourself, letting us know what you guys are seeing, especially from your workplaces or your conversations with managers, or when you see something strange and you ask an employee what's going on with that. That is critical intelligence for all of us. Appreciate all of you who have contributed. We also do want to thank our sponsor, Genesis Gold Group. They've been a loyal sponsor of this channel for 2.5 years now. They believe in what we're doing here, and if you want to talk to someone about what you can do with your retirement account, getting into gold, silver, or platinum, if you want to talk to someone who's like-minded, who understands kind of the craziness that's going on out there, and the reason why you should be investing in precious metals, Jonathan and his team would love to talk to you and can help you through that. There'll be a link at the end of the video for you to find out more. All right, Australia is announcing that they will be recognizing the Palestinian state, whatever that is, at the United Nations in September. There's the part of Israel where so-called Palestinians live, which are really Jordanians, Egyptians, and all these other groups of people that now call themselves Palestinians. But Australia will be joining other countries, including the UK, Canada, and France, as well as other European countries, in calling for the UN to recognize this so-called Palestinian state. I guess it's Gaza and West Bank or something. This is a big deal. So we'll see how that kind of plays out here in September at the General Assembly of the UN if things haven't been ended. I mean, Israel has said that they're going to do a full military occupation of their lands in Gaza. So recognizing a country that is under occupation is a unique perspective on the world. But I mean, anyway, Air India has decided to suspend New Delhi to Washington, D.C. flights from September 1st. Now, it's not due to the safety issues on the ground in Washington, D.C., though that would be a pretty legitimate issue. It does seem to be in the midst of this U.S.-India tension. Air India is, at least on the face of it, saying it's because they have a number of their Boeing aircraft are being updated, and they just don't have enough planes. That's what they're saying, but they can just move planes from one route to another, so it's suspect. It seems like it's a slap in the face to President Trump. NVIDIA and AMD are now going to be paying a 15% China chip sale revenue to the United States. So both NVIDIA and AMD have agreed that they will give 15% of the revenues from their sales, or basically a tax, on anything that goes into China That's going to go to the United States. So it's like a reverse tariff. China needs those chips in order to build laptops, computers, anything that has a chip in it these days, which is basically just about everything. And 15% of that revenue is going to come straight into the United States. That's going to be additional revenue towards the U.S. government. This is good. Good. We're increasing taxes on China. I like China paying our taxes. We need to do this model more. The Trump administration also doesn't feel that the sale of these chips, they shouldn't compromise national security. The higher level AI chips and everything like that, those are being blocked from being sent to China. The U.S. military is now preparing to deploy National Guard to Washington, D.C. The National Guard will start protecting monuments and zones around the government buildings. And Trump has also ordered the federal takeover of the Washington, D.C. Police force, the Capitol Police Force. These are now going to be directly under the United States. The President of the United States will be commanding these police forces, and they're going to start purging all the people who mostly paint rainbows as opposed to actually doing police work. The mayor of Washington, D.C. spent an inordinate amount of money and time painting rainbows on the ground and doing all that sort of stuff instead of actually policing and trying to get the crime rates down, making it safe in Washington, D.C. for families and children. The violence has spilled over in Washington, D.C. so much so that this is absolutely necessary. President Trump has directed homeless people in Washington, D.C. to move out immediately from Washington, D.C., or else they will be charged with crimes or they will be deported, so to speak, from Washington, D.C. This is one of those things I feel mixed about, because it's like criminalizing homelessness. I mean, if you don't have a place to go, just being banned from being anywhere, like where exactly are you supposed to sleep, right? I think that what really needs to happen is we need to have places that we can relocate homeless people to, like camps or something like that. I don't know. Not like concentration camps or anything like that. Not detainment camps. But there should be camps where work camps where they should be able to, be picked off the street, and they should be able to be sent to these work camps where they can be there or they can leave if they choose to leave. But at that point, then you can criminalize being homeless on city streets and such. But at this point, where are those homeless supposed to go other than just go to a different city, right? They can try to get into the shelters, but the shelters are not always able to keep up with everyone, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. We should be kind and generous with those who are downtrodden, but we should also not allow people to just abuse the system and live off of it because they choose not to be part of the economy. I have to work, I have to pay taxes, and so do you guys. You can't just live off the system, right? Or you shouldn't. All right, 2 Chinese vessels got into a scrape with a Philippine Coast Guard vessel. Basically, the 2 Chinese vessels chased the Philippines Coast Guard. One of the Chinese ships was a PLA Navy ship. The other one was a Chinese Coast Guard ship. And the Philippines vessel was a Coast Guard ship. They were inside the Philippine exclusive economic zone. Now, what that means is basically from so far out from your coast basically belongs to that country. Now, it's not the territorial waters, but it's the exclusive economic zone. Only your ships are supposed to be allowed to fish in those areas. Now, with all these disputed islands, then it becomes a little hazy of whose zone this is. According to the United States and the Philippines, this was inside their exclusive economic zone. China is contesting these areas, and they were chasing the Philippine Coast Guard vessel away. And in the course of doing so, they were trying to use their water cannons and trying to threaten ramming this Philippine Coast Guard vessel. It maneuvered in such a way that the Coast Guard vessel struck the Chinese Navy vessel, and I believe it was the Chinese Navy vessel that suffered a significant amount of damage on its bow, but those ships damaged severely from their collision. And the Philippine vessel got away scot-free, and it is being declared as a victory. The Chinese threatening and blustering and managing to run into each other. All right. Hopefully YouTube doesn't hide this video because I talked bad about China, but we'll see. George says, I was driving through North and South Carolina. We have the rental car for 8 days, and we had a total of 3 bugs that hit the car. The lack of bugs is getting truly scary. Usually the car is covered with bugs. We're seeing a lot of that out there, aren't we? Moving over to the UK, Terry in the UK says, we are seeing hikes in food prices, smaller packs but higher prices, and increasing gaps on the shelves. What is interesting also is the reduced number of premium foods, presumably because citizens can no longer afford luxury foods. Interesting. Less premium foods, less manufactured foods, right? Rocky Stone says, very few butterflies here, bees and even wasps. Very few birds either. We usually have a lot of bats, but we've seen only 2 or 3 all summer. Something has changed and not for the good. This is Central Florida. Lucy says, here in Central New York, very few bugs here as well. Our breezeway is usually loaded with moths and flies. No moths and very few flies now. Especially when the light is on, no moths. Never seen so few bugs. It is just not right. Also, the honeybees are very few and very, very small. So the question is, are we killing all these bugs? If we're killing all these bugs because somebody's spraying something that is, whether it's the farmers spraying a certain insecticide that's being far more effective than what it was supposed to be, we've had genetic modifications being sent out into the mosquito population. They're sending out mosquitoes that can't have more mosquitoes. We're tampering with ecosystems that we don't understand. Or, before major natural disasters, animals know it before we do. And with lots less animals in the United States, you have to almost ask the question, okay, maybe we're killing them, but what if they're hiding? What if they're hiding or fleeing? Do they know something that we don't? I think that's a legitimate question. If you're living near the supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park and you saw the wildlife fleeing and disappearing, you should probably take some warning to that, right? User V says, why does every bit of fruit I buy seem to go bad so quickly? I'm in Indiana, but family members in Florida seem to have the same problem. Raspberries, bananas, strawberries go bad in one day. It seems odd. And yet that's what we're all experiencing, isn't it? Robert says, I am in Massachusetts. I have had a koi pond for 25 years. So not a rookie. This is the first year that the fish did not mate and have babies. All water conditions are checked regularly and show perfect readings. Also, my vegetable garden is underproducing from previous years. Fruit trees are very sparse. What is going on, friends? Teresa says, I haven't seen bats in a long time. Very strange. This is northern Maine. Warden Gelke says, my wife and I just went to visit our daughter in western Kentucky. In the past, we would have to wash our car due to the number of bird droppings. This trip was so different. Not one bird in sight, no chirping, no droppings, no empty bird feeders. It all seems very strange. So, I mean, even the bird feeders aren't getting empty. The birds just aren't coming and eating. Why not? Ambi Bambi says, Central Kentucky cannot find fresh okra at Walmart or Aldi. I don't know if there's a shortage. I haven't heard too much about that. But how many people actually eat okra? If you're down the south, let us know if you're seeing an okra shortage. Make sure you use the word update, of course. Tricia says, West Omaha Walmart, no Clorox. Now, they did have a shutdown of the Clorox deliveries. So we warned you about that a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, that Clorox had an issue. I'll be following up more on that to see if we're seeing real residual impacts from that computer shutdown that they've had. Dogpost says from central Wisconsin, bugs and pollinators are almost non-existent this year. Birds and squirrels are fine, but no bees, no moths, etc. Plenty of mosquitoes fly out, but hardly any yellow jackets. Aaron says something similar. I'm a landscaper in New Mexico, and normally when I dig the earth to plant flowers, I find lots of worms. But lately I can't find any worms. That impacts the soil health significantly, no worms. Are you guys seeing a lack of worms out there? Thuggin Eternal says, here in Tulsa, they are installing hostile architecture like boulders in places where homeless were formerly sleeping, under overpasses as well as near the bus station. Also, near the IHOP where I work, I noticed that the shuttered up Denny's and Taco Bueno, where the homeless had set up their camps, they went in and tore out all the bushes and other overgrown foliage around the buildings, so the homeless had to move somewhere else. We just refuse to deal with this problem. We refuse to actually just detain people who are sleeping on the street and get them into help, get them into facilities, get them into whether it's a shelter or get them into a place where they can get help. Letting people just live on the streets. Back in the day, what we would do is we would let them build unauthorized structures so they could have like a permanent home. Let them build their own home. This is what shanty towns were. This is what slums were. They're unauthorized building structures where people would just start building. They were homeless, so they built themselves a home. And they let them build semi-permanent structures. Sure, is that unsafe? Yes. Is it less safe to be out on the street with no protection? Yeah, that's worse. Gary's Crazy Project says, the Bath, New York Save-A-Lot pricing on Sunday was fresh boneless beef chuck roast sale, price $5.49. So that's what they advertised, $5.49 for the beef chuck roast. But they were marked on the weight label as $6.99. And the fresh boneless chuck steak family pack sale was $5.99. But, it says $6.99, but that sale price is supposed to be less than that. You got to keep your eye on that. Make sure you're checking what the price on the package says and see how it rings up, because sometimes, fairly frequently, they mess that up. And it's always against you. You notice how it's always higher than what it should be. It's never lower than what it should be. All right, friends, keep your eye on those prices. Keep your eyes on your receipts. And thanks so much for watching and being part of the Watchmen community. If you want to get some more information from Genesis Gold about what you can do with your retirement account, there's a link right there on the screen. Just tap it, fill out your information, and they will get in contact with you to answer your questions. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up there. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report out.